Good afternoon. Maybe if you could start just with an introduction of yourself so that we can have that as well for the camera.
Okay, so I'm Luschiim. I'm Luschiim. My English name is, I go by Arvid Charlie. Full name is Charlie Arvid Patrick Charlie. We don't need to go there, but there it is.
Thank you. So the first question, and one that I think a lot of our group is wondering about, is if there's any oral history you can share with us around the name Yayamnuts.
Okay, Yayamnuts. I'll explain the meaning of Yayamnuts. First we go to lump. Lump, and I got it on here. It's something that bends there. My arm is going to lump there, it's bent, lump. And that's the root of Yayamnuts. It used to be a competition place, not so much with others, but within yourself. So you jumped across the creek. If you're not ready as a man, a young man, when you landed, your legs buckled and bent. That's the lump. And Yayam, that's the end of the word, refers to your legs or your butt end. So if you don't land, or you're not strong enough, you're lump nuts. And that's where the word comes in, Yayam nuts. Yeah. And if you land, and you're standing up, well, you proved your point. Yeah, I'm a man now. Grown-up person, yeah.
Thank you. So I want to say battle for protecting that site and recognizing that site as a Cowichan place and saving it from development has been a 23-year process. What has your involvement over the course of that battle been?
Well, for me, it goes back to when she says Agnes, Billy, Eli used to tell the stories when we were small. So that'd be in the late 40s, early 50s, and she talked about Yayamnuts every once in a while as being part of Cowichan. So Cowichan today is kind of at the lower part of the river, not the lowest, but the lower part. And she said they used to go all the way to what they now call Samanahatsa, all one continuous village. Kind of spotty, but that's what she told us.
And so were you a part of the early efforts to recognize and protect Yayamnuts?
At the table I was, but at the time I was newly initiated into the lawn house. So I could not go on site. They wouldn't allow me to go on site. It was that sacred to our people. And for me to go there, it was a no at that time in '94.
Can you explain a little bit about the word you just used, the Yes.
So is something sacred. It may be something that'll come under laws, rules, and regulations. It's either do's or don'ts. So in this case, I was talking about some of the don'ts. I don't go there. It's my to go there at that time in '94. It is it is a sacred place. Yeah.
Thank you. What are your thoughts about having young people potentially being at Yayamnuts?
Our people would say, I'm going by our people's teachings, Cowichan peoples, that if you go there, you go in an earlier part of the day. Some say noon, some say 2 o'clock. But the early part of the day, definitely not later day. Like now, it's too late to go there now, even for us. Yeah. So I guess as far as school children, their visit should be limited to the early part of the day. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Is there, so aside from being at the site earlier in the day, are there other things that students and teachers and visitors or people who live in the area should know about how to be at Yayamnuts?
So one of the things, we lived there, but later on, as we all know, we started using it for a burial place. That changes things. It is not a playground. There should be no playground there to be a place to be playing. So it's that way, it's a no-no to be playing there. So, you know, just walk through there, but no horse playing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So recognizing the time, and if this is not a question that you that I should be asking, please let me know. But there's been talk about putting a fence around to keep people an undetermined distance away from where the ancestors are. Do you have thoughts at how, or what are your thoughts around how big the fenced area should be?
Yes, it should be fenced off somehow, and without knowing just how big the actual site is at where the reburial happened, I couldn't go any further than that at this time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have it, if I may, quite well mapped where the reburial is. It's about 30 meters by 30 meters, so it's a large area. And the questions that we were asking really were around, is the advice that the fence should be kind of up against that reburial area?
No,
or if we should keep it out
it should go out a bit
further?
Yeah, according to what I've seen and how the elders talk, it's not right at the edge, it's more than that. So, yeah, so to be discussed.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, something that occurred to me when I was thinking about Yayamnuts and where it's located in terms of geographic space, I noticed that when you're at Yayamnuts, when you look one way, there's Mount Sahelem,
Yeah.
and when you look the other way, it's Mount Provo. Is there any significance to Yayamnuts being where it is in relation to those mountains or other Cowichan?
I wouldn't put it that way. No, not from the information I received from elders, including Cisa. You know, that village was a long village, and one of the things that was always said is that some of the people lived further away from the saltwater, in this case, Cowichan Bay, to be away from the first one being raided if a raid should come. So some people lived further away from the saltwater, that way they were in a more protected area, a more protected spot. So for that one, that was all part of Cowichan, which is Cowichan today. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So you talked about how Yayamnuts is not just a single place, but connected to a larger Cowichan village. Are there other Are there other important sites that are connected to where you understand the larger Cowichan village to be that are maybe not receiving the same level of attention that the Yamnuts might be?
Oh yes, yes, and some of them are so disturbed that there's, how do you find evidence in a totally disturbed place? She says, always talks about kind of a I believe they call it Cowichan Heights now, where there was other graves there.
How do you feel about development in your sacred and maybe not so sacred places, but in Cowichan Tribes Lands? How do you feel about the development?
Not good.
Not good.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who want to come in and develop in the Cowichan Valley?
Today our hands are somewhat tied to me that there is new laws of the land that allow these things to happen. And we're always looking for ways, and there is some ways, but there's not always followed. And what do you do when you're going to develop a place? There are certain guidelines and rules and laws that are in place, but they're not always followed. And through our staff, we try to minimize any disturbance to some of these places, or totally not let it happen.
So how does it make you feel to know that your Yamnuts, that it took a very long time, but Cowichan was able to gain that recognition and protection for that place?
Well, I'm totally not happy, but I believe we done all we could at that time. And sometimes powers to be, or laws to be, they don't follow their own guidelines or laws. And sometimes we need to make them aware of that hey, you got your own laws there you're supposed to be following.
And so if there's, my understanding is the commemorating a Yamnuts project is going to be a much longer project than the duration of our course. And so there is the possibility that other students may come and do work with Cowichan through the university. What kind of things should students who do come to maybe work at Cowichan places need to know before coming to work at Cowichan places?
Oh, one of the things to do research on whatever's been documented for Yamnuts, and with this work happening, this will be part of it. They need to know at least some of it, so they're not, One of the things that happened with people like me and elders in the past is that we get asked the same question over and over and over, and that's why I say do some research and find out the material that is out there, and then come forward with some things that need to be clarified for that group or person.
So am I hearing you correctly in that you're maybe saying don't come with your hands out, but come with an idea of who Cowichan are, come with an idea of where Cowichan Tribes ancestral territories are, and work to well, maybe I'll form it into a question. How important is having a relationship with Cowichan people prior to doing work? Is that an important thing?
I don't quite understand the question.
Is it important for people to have built a relationship before doing the work? I know Brian has done, I think you've spent time building a good relationship with Cowichan, which I think makes it so that your students can come in and help with this kind of work.
I'll put it this way. if you got here and you didn't have Brian and Diane here with you, I'd be, hey, what's going on? And you wouldn't have been getting answers like this. You'd have to work a relationship first. And it may take time, especially if you're totally unknown to here, to me. It's going to take several visits before I start to open up. But with Brian and Diane here, and I'm glad Diane is here, who somebody knows you guys, and you've been a student of Brian, that opens the doors for you. So yeah, they need to build some kind of relationship first. Mm-hmm.
Good, excellent. Something too that I was just thinking about, I've been thinking about how through the school districts, teachers and maybe their students can acknowledge and show respect to the young nuts. What are your thoughts on how people could do that, show respect or acknowledgement of the young nuts?
How can people show? That's a real good question. And part of that is just things you will be writing down. And that students and teachers can learn something about the Cowichans. And then again go from there to expand on it. And that's part of why I'm here, is so other people can find out more about Cowichan. Yeah. One of the things to us in this part of the world, mainly Cowichan, but also other places, you don't find much material written about Cowichan, because we were very protective of our culture, our language, our sacred ways. It worked good, but it also didn't work for us because, well, you got nothing, that must not be important to you. But it was that important, that's why it was not written down. But now we're finding that, yeah, we have to document some of these things so people will know. They'll know about a little bit about our sacredness here. So a lot of that is happening now. And I have to say I'm glad, although I'm not happy about it, I am glad that it is happening so people will know about our sacredness, our things. Yeah.
You used a Hokkien word for, what was it? Yes. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that word?
Okay. So just Chacha is sacred. And Chacha is something that's sacred to you. A lot of our ways are Chacha that we don't splash it around. Meaning just tell everybody about our Chacha. Yes, I will talk about it in a little bit, but I won't get into the real sacred parts of our life here. Like about the spirit dancers or the winter dances. Well, I can talk winter dances, but I won't get into the details about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I wonder also about the word Lalamathat.
Lalamathat is watch out, be careful. Mm-hmm.
Is that word carrying advice for us and the students at this place? Lalamathat?
Yeah. In this case, you could add, like, take it easy, take it slowly, on with it, don't go too fast, be careful, don't go too fast, and ingest what has been said, so you can go forward in a better way. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I've run the course of my
I
question.
was also wondering, you were saying things for the public to learn. I was wondering about for Cowichan youth, for Happynook youth, when they're coming, are there any things you'd like that they should hear? specifically?
Well, I would have to include them in what we've been sharing about the teaching, the sacredness of the place. I need to say that because we've been disconnected with our culture and language for so long that some of us, some of the children of the 1880s come home and there was nobody to pass knowledge down to them or the language. So from then on we've been taken away from our language and culture. And some of our people didn't have that connection to any old people when they come home, because the sicknesses came, some come home and there's nobody left to pass on the family knowledge. So some of us, our children are living in that world where they missed out on all those for several generations. So I have to include them in the public information that they need that information there. Mm-hmm.
Do you think the work that's being done on this project can help to inspire Cowichan youth to want to reconnect?
It is inspiring. We talk about not only this one but other places. And some of our youth, some of our adults being in their 50s and 60s, some of them are relearning some of the things we're talking about. And yes, it's starting to show in our youth, our children. We had a 3-year-old reminding us of one of our teachings at one of our classes a few days ago. So yes, it is coming forward.
I want to draw on that because inspiring the youth is one of the mandates we have for this project. And so when you think about your Yumnuts, the work that is there and all the things that have been revealed about the site, what inspires you?
What inspired me?
What inspires you when you think about your Yumnuts? The obsidian, the artifacts, the incredible record that's there, the survival, I don't know.
I can go back to 1945 when I was 3 years old. And I was interested in whatever it is with our language and culture. So it's always been there for me. Mm-hmm. And then recently in the 80s, I used to do contract work for Cowichan Tribes. And I thought about going to school, to a high school or whatever, university, to expand my knowledge in the modern way. And I was looking at myself, see, by the time I come out of university, all the elders are going to be gone. So I went to our school, our place of teachings, and that's the elders. And most of these I can say was one-on-one to elders of, well, even the late 70s, but definitely in the 80s, where I was sitting one-to-one with elders to expand my knowledge. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And say if a Cowichan youth is maybe seeing this video and hearing about how you were inspired to talk to your elders, is there any advice you'd give to them if they want to do the same thing, to learn the way that you learn?
I still have to go back and start at 1945 when Luschiim, great-grandfather, used to take me for walks, and he'd tell us words and names of different trees. And it wasn't until some time later that he started to include the foods within those trees, and some of them were survival trees. I mean, you take a part of it, and that if you're in a starving situation, that Chamas is his survival food. And then I'll fast forward to 4 years ago, when one of the young children, I started taking notice to the child I was taking for a walk, well, even longer than that, when he was 2 years old. He reminded us of a medicine that we commonly use, but I hadn't been using it for some time, and we're walking, he said, Grandpa, aren't you going to have some of this? So, to me, he's been inspired already by his mom, and then I'm expanding on it. Yeah. So, to me, you watch the youngsters, and you help them develop themselves and in their interests, whatever they're inspired to do. So that particular child is learning a lot about trees. He's 7 years old now. Our culture, the environment, he's come a long ways. Yeah, he can identify, a certain amount of plants. There's some plants that are look-alike. I'll name 3 of them. I was given a piece of alder, and I was told, here, good medicines for you. And as soon as I looked at it, it wasn't what the man said it was something else. And there's 3 of them look-alikes over there, got no leaves, it's just a stem. You got to know these things. So some of our children know that already before they're double digits of years. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some of the things in the yum nuts that are remarkable are the things from far away. So there's obsidian. When we were working this fall, there were 10 pieces of obsidian found back in 1994, and students here found another 9 pieces in the few weeks that we worked on the site this fall. We've done the testing on that, and it's all the way from Newberry Volcano in Oregon.
Oregon. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know there's some histories around Cowichan's connection to places far away. The other one that's from quite far away that was found back in '94 was the jade adze, beautiful woodworking adze made of a nephrite from the Middle Fraser River area, north of Boston Bar. So just wondered if you could reflect on Cowichan's connection to these faraway places, seemingly far away.
So I'll start with Luschiim, my great-grandfather. He talked about trips in the ocean. They went on the outside, go down the outside for days, way past the big river. So the big river, if you look at the map, I believe would be Columbia River. Several days, not that far. We made it there in 4 days, paddling on travel journeys. And he says sometimes they got home that same year, and other times they come home the next year. And other times they never got home. Whether they were lost or were killed off or they stayed put somewhere, I don't know. And on a recent trip, we went down to Oregon. My last day we were there, I sat with a man from Cowlet for breakfast. And having breakfast, he says, after talking to a fellow, he says, you know why we're called Cowlet? No, I don't know why you're called Cowlet. He says, well, a long time ago, you Cowichan used to come down here and go down further. We love those times. I'm squishing down to a shorter thing. We love those times because when you came, you left us big canoes. So in the journeys further south, one of the things we got was the thick abalone. That was a trade item. And the other thing is things to make tools with, but I need to go to Kamloops for that, more on it. So one of the things that we know about, and I heard it many times from different elders, is our trips to Kamloops and Chase. We knew about it, I knew about it from my elders, but one day we were sitting, a group was in the 60s, late 60s, And George Manuel was with us. He was a man from Kamloops. He had one bad leg. And we're talking about trade. He said, you know, you guys used to get to Kamloops to trade clams. You guys even got up there with live clams. Now, I can't explain that, but I can guess. I'm talking to my mom. We had multi-walled baskets. And Mom and I believe that, you know, those are modern, or not modern, that was the cooler of the day as compared to the modern ones today. But to me, how did you keep it alive? Did we keep changing the water? Because they got to breathe. Yeah, you can keep clams for about 3 days and they'll die. So we aerated it somehow. So back to George Emmanuel, he says, yeah, you guys got up there with clams, dried clams, and once in a while, live clams. He says, you know what? One time you guys got up there, and we had to apologize. We had nothing to trade with. So his story goes that they apologized, and then overnight we had a meeting. These are his words. The next day we asked them, who done it? Where are they? Well, we'll get them back for you. The enemy had stolen wives and ladies and children. So he says, we went, they come along with us, and we warred on at the party, and we got the women back and the children back, and he trucked out and some extra. So the things we traded up there, I'm told, was the rocks. I take it to be obsidian. From the south of the big Spatchan, I take the Spatchan to be prairies. Spatchan is open meadows, fields, that kind of thing. They came up and traded there, and we traded for that, for the knives and arrowheads. And also we were told that some of that material came from the other side of the big mountains. So what is the big mountains from Kamloops and Chase? And again, it's me, I take it to be the Rocky Mountains on the other side. So is there obsidian on the other side in Alberta? I'm told there is. So as far as trading for arrowhead material, yes, there was a lot of that going on. One of the things that I understand we really liked was Saskatoon berries, that the Kamloops Chase people were able to they said we got them in like layers of, like a spa. Spa is fish eggs. So they were like that. Yeah, so. Yes, there was a lot of trading going on, yeah.
It's interesting, that makes me think, because there's been talk about the shell middens at Yamnuts and how they're kind of, you know, it's an inland site, and so there's questions about the shells, but when you think about the larger trade network, you know.
I know those aren't your words, but I get offended when I hear inland site. I really get offended. That's not an inland site. No, it's not.
Yeah.
But some people choose to call it inland site. You know, we got middens up in the hills above, or across from Yubo, on the south side, but up the hill. We got middens over there. Now that might be called an inland site, but definitely an instant within a few kilometers from shore, to me, is not inland site. I'll tell you a story. We were at a meeting with the feds in BC. We had the treaty group sitting. You might have been there. And the federal guy jokingly kind of ridiculing us, talking about canoes and finding of canoes up in the hills 20 miles back from the saltwater. And that guy jokingly said, "Oh, you guys must have had a hard time getting that canoe down to the water." You could have heard a pin drop. Everybody was mad. Silence. And then in the background you could hear Simon, my dad, kind of starting chuckling. He says, yeah, we had a hard time. And he kind of led them on for a while, led them on. Yeah, we had a hard time getting it down. And then later on he says, oh, and he said, we built big ropes for the canoes. But that wasn't to pull the canoe, that was to hold them back from taking off down the hill. Yes, we had a hard time getting them down, holding it back. So 20 miles back, that's not far. No. And we often built canoes way back. You can imagine there was lots of canoe builders because that was our vehicles of the day. You know, you had to go further and further and further. Yeah, 20 miles wasn't far.
One of the remarkable features at Yayamnuts is what we call Feature A. And so it's a rock, fire-cracked rock that's not very deep, 10, 20 centimeters deep. Not a lot of burning around it, but some charcoal and ash. But it's 6 meters long and nearly 6 meters wide, a huge area. And so we often think about, what is Feature A for? Is this for the span, the camas that's just nearby for preparing that? It seems so, it's such a big area. Or is this the sort of place that you use to help prepare canoe? To help steam wood, or I don't know if you have any thoughts on large fire-cracked rock features.
Yeah, good question. So there were some special places where span was made. It could be one of those. Some places were consumption by the community, which that could be one of the places. But there was also some places where there's the men that harvested it, there's the men that prepared and put it away. But that would be more likely a place far from the community village, that special spot. And though that once prepared, that would be for dignitaries, Hiwak of other places. Today, Hiwak, we can loosely use it to say chief, but it's Hiwak, it's the leaders of the community or communities. And there's several kinds of Hiwak. You know, you got Hiwak for harvest, and maybe different kinds of harvest. Hiwak for, well, you name it, there's many different kinds. There's a different kind of managers today. For canoe, some canoes were made in the community, or maybe brought home and then wicket is to spread it out, which a community can take part in there. Some big canoes were difficult to spread open. You might bring it home to wicket, because you might need the community to help. One of the things that is today is modern use of ammonia to help bend wood. You include ammonia. There's a natural ammonia in which you'd need the community to help. and I'll say, go pee in the canoe. That's your ammonia. It makes it easy. But if it's a special canoe, you're not going to bring it into the community. Only the builder and a few of his helpers would be allowed to come to that location where it's been worked on. Tsunquit is building a canoe. Hay is building a canoe that other people aren't allowed to come, only the few workers. Nobody sees it until it's time to bring it out. Hay. So Tsunquit, I'll say Snuquit first, Snuquit. Tsunquit is making a canoe. Tsunquit is making a canoe. Tsunquit. I need to put the Thom out, which is the same as Tsunquit, but some will use that. So tamat is to hit something, tamat the table. Tamat. The tamat, you're hitting that log with your adze, your axe. The tamat. The other one was hay, and that's where nobody else sees your work except your helper or helpers. So until recently we had people hay. One of them was Anderson, called him Hook, from Sweeney's Bay, Nanaimo. He built some canoes out there in a bush where nobody else went. Same with Roy Edwards. He hay in some places out in the Gulf Islands. So we're talking about the pile of rocks. What was it for? I seen a pile of rocks where we built dikes, and it was longer than this table, but 5 feet wide and longer than this, 12, 15 feet long. We were wondering what it was. After we finished building the dike at Cooksila Village, a place called what is it? Cowichan, busy place, Cowichan. Sometime after we finished building, the year 2, Tom George, who lives there at that time, did you find that pile of rocks? Yeah. Well, that was my son's, what do you call it? A house place, what do you call it? That hut house you go into. We call it Cowichan.
For a sweat lodge?
Yeah, sweat lodge. Cowichan. So, and his son's just a short while, 3 years, 4 years, built that, he ended up with that pile of rocks, roughly 5 feet wide, I'd say about 12 feet long. So how long was this one?
6 meters, so
6 meters?
yeah, 18 feet by 18 feet.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty big, but not so big.
I don't know. In 2 years, my nephew-in-law had a size about this much. But many people come to his sweat lodge. Hawks is a sweat lodging. Hawks would be a sweat lodge.
it's interesting when we were excavating at the site, we found some evidence of structures. And the area, does anybody remember the area of the one structure? It wasn't huge like a house, but it may have been appropriate for that kind of activity. And it was dug into the ground, so you could clearly see the stain between the soils that were there and where they dug it in with all the edges and so on. But semi-subterranean, so not all above ground, but the sitting part of the house, the walking part of the structure was dug in.
So there is another kind of a lodge, and that's called spun out, which would be dug in. And that is a dwelling. And one of the things that was used for was the cold winters, but also good for hot summers, cool in there. That's coming from first time I heard it was from great grandpa at age 3-4 years old. And I've always known about spun out, that we did use them. So I don't know what that one is.
Yeah, well, it could well be.
The most sacred ones were more like secret. Yeah, one-time use. You moved in. Yeah. So there is some public places where anybody can come, but there is some really sacred ones that were only maybe the one practicing Shnam would go to. Nobody else was allowed to go there. My mom was asked to take part in getting things ready to build one when she was, say, pre-10 years old. Yeah, she got things ready, but after things were there, she was not allowed to be anywhere close to it. So when I say pre-10, there's a word tzitz. What is tzitz? Tzitz is a young person that is pure. But once they start to think about a girlfriend or a boyfriend, they're not tzitz anymore. Even just to think about it, you're not that anymore. So when a person is tzitz, that's when you get them to get medicine or do very sacred things. Tzitz mustimu. Tzitz is pure.
It's like taking the bones down to the river with the first salmon.
No, that would be
You get a young person to do that?
doesn't have to be that.
No.
Yeah, but definitely medicines. And my sister and I were called upon to get medicines. We were 4 or 5 years old, and we started getting medicines for certain things. But later on, I wasn't asked to get medicines anymore. They say once you become a nech mustimach, that's the opposite end, where you're not interested again, then you're back to almost tzitz again. Almost.
Thinking about back to yam nuts, there's the other thing that is interesting is just, we talked briefly about Spain and all the camas meadow that's right there. And today when you walk into the place, it looks like on one side, you look left and you see where all the camas and Gary Oak are, and it looks like nature. And you look to the other side, and this is where the archaeological site is, and it looks like that's the cultural place. They seem separated. Can you help connect culture and nature? What is the significance of a Gary Oak meadow to the people who lived there?
Well, for the amount of people that were there, there was no separation. There's all just one big part of it. Yeah. You know, there's no line. No, we didn't go over there, or that's nature part. All that would have been used. Yeah. Yeah. So, for the far or a long time ago, I couldn't put a separation.
So help for the public and the children who may see one as a park and the other as an archaeological site. Why would a place with chocolate lily and camas and all the things that come in the Gary Oak be important for the people who are living at Yeyemnitz?
Well, part of their food, yeah. Just like as today, the superstore or convenience store is important to us. Same thing back in the day. And you had to look after it. You had to make sure it thrived. Today, it's not our worry about how superstore is going to survive. There's people that look after that nowadays. But yesteryear, we were all part of it, looking after the environment. And there were times when the Hiwak for that would say, no, that's enough, leave it alone for a while. So some places we'd leave it alone for several years to let it replenish itself. That's what I was told.
So for people who may not know, what would the camas and the chocolate lily be for? You said it's food. What's that all about?
Well, we can look back. We didn't have the modern potatoes and all the other fruits and vegetables. So these were really important to us because that was it. We didn't have stand put away. You didn't have nothing for the winter and the spring. And the chocolate lily and some other lilies. The one that's freckled or ham. Some say it's tears, some say it's freckles. And that's here, they grow high. Tiger lilies. And there's other lilies. Yeah, so we grew up with caring for what today is called environment, caring for our land, our stores. We were all I was all part of learning. Be careful for it, look after it. We lost it, look after it. And I will at this time say, Ma kutem idna tamocht o halitenst. Ma kutem idna tamocht o stitlukta. What that translates to is everything on this earth is what sustains us. You can see this earth or our earth. It will translate both ways. The second sentence is everything on our earth is connected. So, how's that blade of grass gonna sustain me? Well, something eats it. You eat that something and it just goes on and on. Even to the worms you don't like, the birds come and eat it, and someone else comes and eats that bird, and so on. So everything is connected. So when you ask about the meadows, under those Gary Oak trees back there, it's all part of it's part of what sustains us. Yeah.
I think people living at Yeyemnitz must have eaten very well. In fact, I think they were really into delicious foods because not only did they care to bring their shellfish back to where they were living, and their herring and their halibut, we have all the evidence of this. The salmon, of course, trout, but also ducks. Right there along the creek close to Somnos Lake, would have been a perfect place for collecting birds.
So I have a question. Can you tell the species of ducks? The reason why I say that is, what species went to Sumas? What species went to other places? At Sumas, we caught them by the thousands, I'm told, by the Quantan people. I knew about it, but they expanded on it. Yeah, that Sumas, it used to turn black. Sumas was a big pond lake that was drained out to make it farmland. When they drained it out, after months of drying out, they went and plowed it. Sturgeons were getting plowed up. 10, 12, even 14-foot sturgeons that were still alive when they were plowing the land. That's what this old man was telling us. And then after he finished that part, he said, and you guys cut ducks there. He barbecued them, then took them home. So I told that to my mom, and she says, that's half the story. Yes, we barbecued them slowly to let the fat drain out. Then we smoked them. Then we put them up to smoke so they'll keep. Yeah. And we smoked many other things. Meat, all the meats are smokeable to keep for a long time. Like elk, for instance. If we got to a place late, like up the Cowichan Lake, if we got there late and others been ahead of you, the elk have moved up. And there was lots of people, so, you know, a few will catch elk easily, others get there late. You gotta go follow them way up. And this is coming from great-grandpa Luschiim. That if you are late, you go up, you get them. Wherever you catch your elk, you're gonna camp there for at least 2 days. And you keep it, you strip the meat, you hand them up. Part of the hide is part of your smokehouse. You smoke them for a couple of days or so, and 2 men can carry down a whole elk after you dry it. I know from experience that a medium-sized moose takes 9 trips to carry it out. 9 trips. Well, a big elk would be the same amount. But after it's dry, he said 2 men can carry it out. And he said once you got it down, you put it up in your smokehouse and finish drying it so it'll keep for a long time. So a smokehouse down at the bottom of Shaw Creek or one of the other places, you're drying spring salmon. Some will say, oh, you guys got lots of spring salmon down there in Cowichan or Samana. Yeah, we do. But the salmon is so rich that it'll go chicham, it'll go rancid. So you end up following them to when they're lean, and that's when you put them up so they'll keep a long time, keep till spring. Springtime is when the new spring salmon are coming back up. I'm getting tired.
That's good. Well, I think what incredible stories. Thank you for sharing
Okay.
with us.
Yeah.
This cheap.
Yeah, good. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Great teachings.
Yeah, really great.